The apocalypse hit and ants became Earth's rulers. But as a human, I taught the ants how to make and use tools. Because of this, I gained the favor of the queen ant and became her tool for collecting pheromones. I used to be an apocalypse resource coordinator. A few days ago when I went out to gather supplies, my girlfriend randomly followed me. I thought she was worried about my safety, but turns out she'd been hooking up with Zhang Hao all along. They followed me to silence me so I wouldn't report Zhang Hao for hoarding supplies. In the end, they pushed me into an ant nest, but I didn't die. Instead, I somehow crossed over to planet Zeta. In a daze, I heard someone say, "What sweet pheromones." When I opened my eyes, I saw a giant ant abdomen. I freaked out. The female ant in front of me looked at me and repeated, "Your pheromones are so sweet." That's when I realized I'd turned into an ant too. Before I could react, she was already leaning on me. After who knows how long, her pheromones were satisfied. She said I'd done a great service. I curled up helplessly in the corner, not knowing what to do. Then a window popped up in my mind. The swarm command system had been activated. By teaching human knowledge to the insects, I could unlock mental power and level up the system. Once the system reached level 10, I'd unlock the cross-world portal. I was confused why I needed to teach bugs and what mental power even did. The system explained right away. Mental power lets me command insects. The higher my mental power, the higher tier bugs I can control, and the more of them. Thinking about returning to my old world and controlling ants, I swore I'd make Su Jinyu and Zhang Hao pay in blood. I was lost in thought and accidentally laughed out loud. The queen ant asked why I was giggling like an idiot. I snapped back to reality. I was still in her nest. Suddenly I remembered that female praying mantises eat their mates after mating. Was this queen ant gonna eat me too? I panicked and blurted, "I haven't showered in ages, I smell terrible." She found that funny. Then she reminded me I was her servant now. Seeing me frozen, she cracked her whip and told me to get to work. I said yes, and started doing chores. A while later, she said she had to go out. That's when I showed my true colors. Once the system levels up, she's gonna get it. She told me to stay put, but I wasn't gonna just sit around. I went to the mine she was in charge of. I saw worker ants carrying stones with their mouths. I thought, these guys are way too dumb. I quickly found 2 clueless ants. I decided to test them. I grabbed a stick and showed it to them. I stuck the branch into a crack in the rock and told them to pry and push. Once they tried my method, they realized it beat using their mouths. The system leveled up to 1 and unlocked 10 mental power points. I ordered those 2 male ants to stop, and they immediately froze. Looks like I really could control them. Now I just had to wait for the queen ant to come back so I could make her taste being controlled. Suddenly, a slap hit my face. The queen ant was furious, asking why I wandered off. Then she dragged me back to her nest. Back at the nest, she ordered me to kneel and call her master. I looked defiant. In my head, I thought, kneel for me. But the queen ant didn't react at all. The system reminded me, Zaya is a queen ant, mental level 10, cannot be controlled. I immediately dropped to my knees and called her master, lying that my legs were stiff from standing too long. She suddenly looked sad and said she couldn't be my master anymore. She told me to leave. I asked what happened. Turns out she'd been set up by other queen ants. She had to transport all the ore from the West District in 3 days. But they only gave her 10 worker ants. I knew this was my chance. I said, "Easy, leave it to me, just gotta listen to me." That earned me another slap. She thought I was trying to become her master. I quickly lied, saying I just wanted to help. I made up a story about being great at moving stuff as a kid. If I failed, I'd die with her. Hearing that, she trusted me a bit. At the mine, I first collected some wooden buckets, then ordered the worker ants to learn how to build carts. As soon as I drew the blueprint, the system sent a bunch of notifications. The worker ants followed my orders and started building. But Zaya slapped me again, thinking I was wasting time. I didn't get mad. I patiently explained, "Building carts only takes half an hour, but it'll multiply mining speed several times." After hearing that, she decided to trust me once. 3 days passed quickly. Savia couldn't wait to suggest removing Zaya from the queen ant ranks. Everyone knew Savia was setting her up, but the head queen said she only cared about results. The head queen asked Zaya if she'd completed the task. Zaya could only pin her hopes on the final minute, but Savia didn't believe she could finish in the last minute. After all, there hadn't been a single sound outside the hall. Zaya felt hopeless too, but remembering my confident look, she refused to give up. Time ticked away. The moment time was up, Savia spoke up to remind the head queen. But just then, a male ant rushed in frantically.